This is QiQ, the question in question. Brought to you by TherapyBites Art Lab. Here to take a bite out of modern-day pseudo-psychological psycho-malarkey. Now entering the Art Lab studio, today's T-Ballers, a collection of fellow strugglers, confronting personal challenges, navigating precarious relationships, and tackling trauma. Humans like each of us, juggling difficult human emotions, each here with unique life experiences, lived stories, and questions we'll bite into that just might help you too. And now, entering the Art Lab studio for the 9,880th time is the host of TherapyBites QiQ, Doc Heath.
And hey, T-Ballers, welcome back to the show today. And you can give me a thumbs up and let me know how the volume is doing there. It sounds like I am kind of loud to myself, but a little mic check, please. Welcome you guys for being here. These are our categories. You know how the game is played. It is called the question in question, and we're streaming through Instagram. Oh, well, maybe not. We're streaming through LinkedIn. We're streaming through Facebook, Twitter, and, of course, we are streaming through YouTube. Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate you showing up. And you know the way the game is played. You can send your questions to us through the chat function here, and we will use those from time to time. And we also get questions through our different social media platforms on Instagram. We have Doc Heath Daily. If you're not plugged into that, we welcome you guys to do that. And we're just trying to share out some psychologically nutritious information. The categories are Couch Crumbs Quotes, Creature Feature, Social Media Smackdown, Fresh from the Therapy Couch, Couch Crumbs, which is our newsletter. We have different questions about the newsletter. And Nero, also called Psych Secrets. And the question first up tonight comes from, what is it? Let's take a look. The Couch Crumbs quotes. The answer is for 600 Psy coins. This quote about, and yes, this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, this quote about men being animals, I guess depends on who you ask, is attributed to the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. And if you notice, we have a timer on the board. Thank you, our team member Sarah, for engineering that timer earlier today. And I'll do a little bit of chatter here informing you of some of the things we have going on. We have a Clubhouse group every Tuesday at 12 o'clock Central. If you didn't catch it, you can catch the replay on YouTube. And if you're around next Tuesday at noon, it is a free support group. And we encourage you guys to join up. And yeah, thanks, William. I appreciate the feedback there. Hey, you get it? No pun intended. Mic, sound, feedback. Yep. I'm glad we're coming through 5 by 5. And William guesses that the question is, what is pathological? We have 8 seconds left, counting down, and it is not pathological. The question is, who said man is by nature a social animal? Who said that man, humans, it's a colloquial term for Aristotle's day, mankind, and it says man. Who said man is by nature a social animal? And that was, of course, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. Let's go back to the board. And our next question comes from Creature Feature, and it is for 200 Psy coins. And let's take a look at that answer. We give you the answer. Your job is to come up with a question. This little cognitive distortion critter involves magnifying the significance of minor setbacks or flaws often assuming the worst possible outcome. And we have a whole zoo of creatures. We try to create these creatures to help, educate about different ways the brain drives off the psychological cliff. And we have an array of ants and gnats and fish who we call gray herrings, because a gray herring, and this is a question that's come up before, is a psychological distraction from what's going on in logic. A red herring is a distraction from the argument. What's that got to do with the price of tea in China? And in the art lab, we call them gray herrings. Cell bodies in the brain are gray, and it distracts you from the point. But this is not a gray herring. One more time, this little cognitive distortion critter involves magnifying the significance of minor setbacks or flaws, often assuming the worst possible outcomes. And there's not an answer. Oh, wait, we do have an answer. What is the texture flying ant? Well, the ants, they crawl. By the way, that stands for automatic negative thought. But and it is an ant, but it is the catastrophizing ant. The catastrophizing ant. And we'll be right back.
You are a fellow human struggling with difficult emotions, a fracturing relationship, parenting problem, mental health difficulty, have a psychotherapy from hell story to tell, or a challenging life experience question, and would like to share your story by stepping up to bat as a T-baller. Either register by texting QiQ to 1-870-686-4196 and join our Therapy Bites community, or send a postcard with your name, address, phone number, email address, and age to the address on the screen. Therapy Bites QiQ, P.O. Box 1391, Jonesboro, Arkansas 72403-1391.
Okay, and let's go back to the board. And you guys tell me, I'm experimenting with sound levels. If the sound is too loud, you can let me know. If it's too quiet, you can let me know. If it sounds just awesome, kind of like Paul Harvey and the rest of the story, then you can let me know that too. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Even if you're not here live, if you're here for the replay, we are very, very humbled to have you join in. And thank you for your time. We hope that you find value in this. This particular question comes from Social Media Smackdown. Yes, we do that drop in our podcast, and that's only on the every other week. We do a podcast every week, but every other week is the interview podcast where we have all these neat drops that Heather does so good at editing into the program, and that's where we have the Social Media Smackdown. We take on social media psychomalarkey, Kool-Aid drinking, social media nonsense. Answer: this debunked notion suggests that listening to Mozart's music can temporarily increase intelligence, particularly in children. While music can have cognitive benefits, the specific claims of this are largely unsupported. And that is the T-ball triple. So that is not just for 400 side coins. The triple, well, you do a little bit of multiplication. That would be 1,200. There's 48 seconds left to go on the clock. See if anybody comes up with that. And we don't have answers yet. But yes, on social media, we actually try to pick some debates. Some folks are very good at that. Most are not. We have some that are actually very discourteous, and that's okay too. I believe that in the United States of America, you should be discourteous. That kind of speaks maybe to your raising or your character, but freedom of speech. You have the right to be discourteous, but it speaks more to you. Just remember that next time you get on social media. If someone has discourteous you, it doesn't really say anything about you. It says a heck of a lot about them. And this is a debunked notion that suggests that listening to Mozart's music, and the question is, have anybody got it? No. What is the myth of the Mozart effect? Now, the science shows there's no direct correlation between intelligence and mama playing Mozart for the baby. However, I think there may be a bit of a lateral effect, a bit of a once or twice removed effect, and that may be just that listening to Mozart is very relaxing for mom, and what is healthy for mom is healthy for the baby, and it's not really the music, it's really that mom is relaxed. And I'm a big fan of Mozart and classical music in general. Let's go back to the board and find our next question for the evening is for 600 Psycoins. It is fresh from the therapy couch for 600 Psycoins. And the answer is, get my little emoji head out of the way. Actually, that's my real head. I do have an emoji head, but that's not it. It would disturb my wife if I walked around the house wearing my emoji head. This is a somewhat silly term that we in the art lab have coined to describe what men go through. Listen carefully, men. What men go through when becoming irritable because they're catastrophizing a situation. This characterizes perhaps the initial impression, but this even can be restructured with practice, and we'll be right back with a question after this.
If you plan on being in the local area of your podcast player app and would like complimentary tickets to the TherapyBites QiQ Art Lab studio audience, please search TherapyBites on your device and just smash that subscribe button. Your complimentary ticket grants you access to alerts so you'll never miss a show.
And we are back with the question there, and we still have 50 seconds on the clock. I gave you some bonus time there to see if you could come up with that. It's a new term, and if you listen closer to the podcast episode, you'll hear all kinds of neat terms that we've coined to try to better explain some difficult psychological concepts. Tell us how we're doing. If you like what we're doing, if we're adding value to you, your life, your relationships, your family, your mindset, please let us know. That is greater payment than any coin could ever buy, is just letting us know that what we're doing is helping make a difference for you and your family and your life. Now that's interesting. Emotional thoughts. Well, those are two different things. There are emotions and there are thoughts, but they are not interchangeable concepts. It is our thoughts that manufacture our emotions. And get this term, guys. And I'm going to type it out here just so I can put it on the screen. What is, you'll get a kick out of this. Give me a moment. Maybe you'll get a kick out of it. It's a new term we came up with. What is menstruation? You know, women have that whole monthly thing, and men, well, gosh, it can happen daily. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for discourtesy. It is not an excuse for being verbally assaultive or offensive. I mean, not that you can be verbally assaultive. That would be illegal. Assault is illegal. But it does happen when men catastrophize things, and we've come to call it menstruation because a man's initial impression, we just did a podcast episode on that. That's going to drop next week on Wednesday. We hope you tune in for that. And it's about when men look at things as a level 10 catastrophe when they're just not. And guys, what can you do about that? You can think about your thinking. Your thoughts produce your behavior. If you want to change your behavior, change your thinking. Your thoughts produce your emotions. If you want to change your emotions, then change your thinking. The question was, what is menstruation? And let's go back to the game board for 200 Psycoins from the Couch Crumbs newsletter. The answer is she writes the recipes that make the whole world think. gosh, who was that? Barry Manilow, I think, he writes the songs that makes the whole world sing. Well, this young lady writes the recipes that make the whole world think. And we will be right back after this.
Premier accommodations for our T-Ball contributors provided electronically by the luxurious Art Lab Studio, overlooking the steaming cesspool of pseudo-psychological social media psychomalarkey and located in cyberspace on your favorite podcast hosting platform, where we invite you to the most psychomalogically thrilling podcast in town, while you feast on our award-winning Psychologically-Nutritious buffet of TherapyBites cuisine, conscientiously cooked up by your hard-working T-Ball team chefs.
Okay, and our timer is still ticking down. We'll give you some bonus time after the drop there so that you can listen to that. And again, if you find value in what we're doing, please let us know. If you find some offense at what we're doing, please let us know. We're very proud to hear about that. Also, as I often say, we're here to comfort the afflicted, but we're also here to afflict the comfortable. And people in our field are far too comfortable sharing out social media, pseudo-psychological, psychomalarkey, and we here at the Art Lab are on a mission to challenge and to change that. The answer is, for 200 Psychoins, she writes the recipes in the newsletter that make the whole world think. That's what we're after. And yes, thank you, William. We're glad you like the menstruation thing. And William guesses that who is Granny Floyd, and it is actually, I'm going to type this up here just so we get it right. Who is, it'll make sense what you see in print, and this is, who is Granny Freud not? Granny Freud not. Yes, that's based on Sigmund Freud. Is the problem your mother? I'm a Freud not. Your mother is never the problem once you're an adult, because you are an adult. Let's go back to the board, and before we get into that whole discussion about the etiology of mental illness. Psych Secrets for 800 Psycoins. Psych Secrets in the neuro category, just because Psych Secrets is too long to put in there. And neuroplasticity, the fitness edition. What might be the question? Neuroplasticity, the fitness edition. And I should go to my timer. And that, as we're waiting on answers there, that'll be our last QiQ. That stands for the question in question. If you found value, give us a thumbs up, give us a follow. Thank you for joining us. Share it out to those who may be in need. We're doing a whole new thing that flies in the face of a epidemic that we're seeing out there in the world in young men, and that are young men that think that the root of all their problems is women, which of course that is a terribly distorted, sabotaging thing to think, and even more so to say, because it's just not the case. We are the authors of our own misery, depending upon how we decide to think. And that's why we're spending a lot of time on Instagram, on Doc Heath Daily, to put out some psychologically nutritious information about masculinity. The question to the answer of neuroplasticity, the fitness edition, is what do you call the brain's ability to adapt to new workout routines or any new workout, any new routines, period? If you want to think a different way, if you think it often enough, your brain will mold itself to that way of thinking. Think about that and be careful what you think, because your brain will capitalize on that. We'll catch you next time on QiQ. A new episode will drop first thing in the morning. Share that out. Give it a listen. It's on all the places you love to listen to podcasts. Once again, this is Doc Heath bringing you the question in question. We will catch you next time. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Next time on Therapy Bites Art Lab QiQ, Doc Keith and T-Ball callers face off against steaming piles of pseudo-psychological psycho-malarkey directly from your favorite social media platforms, or perhaps from the psychotherapy couch of a pill-pushing, emotion-demonizing, bobble-headed, woo-woo clinician who fed their kooky Kool-Aid to you. This is Art Potto speaking. Therapy Bites QiQ is a Dr. I'm a Floyd Knot production. Distributed by the Therapy Bites Art Lab Podcast.